And here we are for another fantastic episode of Real Estate Agents Driving in Cars, Looking at Mansions, sort of. And we don't have a mansion today, we have a fabulous car, but even a more fabulous guest. And the reason why I'm holding this stepladder is because this 2014 jacked up Rubicon, which has gone off-road plenty of times, is extremely high to get into. And our guest, Debbie Lewandowski, is about, I don't know, 5'1", so this may be a challenge. So I brought a stepladder. We'll be getting Debbie in a minute, but here's how amazing the guest is today. Debbie has built the #1 volume sales office for Coldwell Banker in the entire country. They're on track to do over $3 billion in sales this year. She has some of the top agents in the entire country, and that is our Newport Beach office. So they definitely have mansions. This has been the hardest interview for me to get. I've had CEOs on, I've had presidents on, I've had all sorts of stuff. Debbie has canceled on me 3 times, so I'm super excited to get her in this car. So since this is the car part of the show, let's check it out. All right, set that down. 2014, it's got the winch. All of this stuff is aftermarket. It is jacked up a little bit. It's got aftermarket doors. It's got a ton of torque, obviously 4-wheel drive. It has it's got plenty of patina on this one, and I know this has gone off-road outside of Big Bear, up in the mountains. The guy that owns it definitely goes off-road during the week, on the weekend. So we're gonna grab Debbie right now. We're gonna learn about how to be an incredible leader, which you can apply to self-leadership. And we're gonna do this show in 2 parts. And in part 2, we're gonna talk about how she coaches agents that do hundreds of millions and how they run their teams. So stay tuned. Here we are. Debbie Lewandowski has been my toughest guest to book. She is very elusive. Now, I'm here in this nondescript corporate park in Irvine. I know she's over here somewhere. I'm trying to wrangle her because it's worth it. And there she is. Debbie Lewandowski.
Hey.
We are live.
Oh, we are?
This is how it works.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This has been my hardest guest to wrangle.
Aww.
I've had the president of NRT, I've had the president of Southern California, all gracious yeses. Debbie is like booking Brad Pitt. No, but thank you so much.
Thank you, lovely.
Mark Gold.
Hey, bud.
This is the assistant manager of Newport. We're going to interview at another time. This is a one-person show, no offense. We love Mark as well. But I've got a surprise for you over here, Debbie.
You do? Is it this?
Yes.
Is this where we're going?
We're going to take the trybooster.com gas delivered truck.
That is going to be special.
No, we're not. I do have another surprise for you.
No?
Yeah, and while we're walking there, I just wanted to cover the fact that I met you 14 or 15 years. My son's 15, so I met you 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was selling a real estate company. I had 60 agents. And you were with another company, and you were the right-hand power woman of this company. And what I remember is we had the most, not between you and me, I loved you. I still love you. We had the most awkward dinner meeting of all time. The sun looks better over here.
Okay.
We had a horribly awkward dinner meeting, and you ran out in the parking lot and apologized a little bit, and we were friends ever since.
We have been, yeah.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how over the last 3 years, I believe it's been, that you've built 4 years, that you've built the single largest by volume, it's going to have over $3 billion in sales, real estate office for Coldwell Banker in the entire country. That's what we're going to do. But first, we're going to get you into a 2014 Jeep Wrangler that's all jacked up. So what we're going to do,
What are you doing?
What we're going to do,
God. Are we going to Maui in that?
we're going to maybe go off-road. We'll see what we do.
Oh my God.
But you know, for my more important guests, I open the door for them.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to have you get on in.
How do you get in this thing here?
Well, you can't step on that little thing. Don't step on that. Yep. Oh, you did it! Because look, Debbie. Look what I had just in case. We didn't even need it.
Oh, we did it!
I brought a stepladder for Debbie.
Just in case.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
all right.
You could have valiantly thrown me out.
So this is going to be super fun. Debbie is a bona fide superstar in this business, and we're going to do this in 2 parts, Debbie.
Okay.
This part is part 1, and we're going to talk about how you built a giant office, and in part 2, we're going to talk about how you coach agents that do hundreds of millions of dollars per year. All right? So,
Tell you everything.
here we are in the car, and Debbie, just for everybody at home, can you take off your glasses so we can see your beautiful eyes for a second? That's Debbie Lewandowski, but it's a bright day in Orange County, so I'm giving her permission to wear her glasses.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, we had our awkward meeting. 14 years went by.
Yeah.
We end up working together.
Yeah.
And now, as of September, it was just, your office was just ranked #1 in Coldwell Banker, so that's the largest volume sales office in the country.
I read that on a report.
Oh, it'll end up at over 3 billion,
Well,
3.2 billion.
If I win my bet with Tom Ferry. So
Yeah. So what was the bet?
So last year, I was at a wonderful Tom Ferry elite event, and he came up to me during one of his business planning sessions, and he said, "So, Lewandowski, what is your goal?" And I said, "Well, you know, we just passed, I don't know, 1.3 billion, something like that." And I said, "Well, so we'll try to do over 2 billion." And he looked at me and he put his cute little hands on his hips and he says, "Lewandowski, that is candy ass." And I said, "Oh God, here we go."
So you respond well to straight challenges.
I do.
And that's how. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, which is mindset.
Yeah.
Now, different things trigger different people,
Right.
and you have figured out what triggers you,
I have. Yeah.
and it's a challenge. So, or if somebody says you can't do it, or I bet you can't, that fires you up, or what specifically is it?
Well, that part of it for sure. I mean, you know, it's no secret that everybody in my office knows that our intention is to be the #1 office in Coldwell Banker. We are right now the #1 office in Orange County,
Right.
bar no other brand. And I motivate the agents because they want to be with a winner, and I think that's important.
So, is that how you built the office, or specifically, you know, there was a day where it wasn't #1, and you were on the road to being #1. What was in your head? How did you have a vision to be #1? How did you describe that? How did it become so infectious? How did you make that happen?
Well, I came to Coldwell Banker on a mission to work with some of the best in the industry, and I was super fortunate to have previously known Tim Smith. And Tim and I knew each other, and we talked many times, and I kept trying to get him to my company, and he'd say, "Someday we'll work together, but not here." And so
how many years did you know him?
Like 5 or 6, 7 years, long time.
And you had talked, you had tried, and you said no.
Right, absolutely. So when I met the one and only Jamie Duran, and we figured out a way that we could work together, which was very motivating and exciting to me, mainly because she's a brilliant woman, and in an industry that is full of wonderful men who do a great job, there just aren't a lot of very high-powered caliber women, and that changed at Coldwell Banker, and I'm interested.
And see, that's true, because I am a man.
Okay.
So I've always felt the other way, in a sense that I was in a woman-dominated sales business, but I do get what you're saying on the leadership side. It was male-dominated, and that is changing here.
It is.
Or it has changed. It's changed.
It is. It's totally changed, at least in our organization. And that's not true everywhere, but it's true it has in our organization. So right place, right time, right?
Yep.
So I was excited to work with Jamie, and I was very excited to work with Tim and Georgina and some of the other really top players, Terry Hardkey in the Newport Beach branch of Coldwell Banker. So that was an important incentive, but I knew that I had the raw talent to take that somewhere, and I believe that the other thing I do is I attract people that want what I have.
Okay. So how did you get that out there? How do you let people know about this vision? Is it a one-by-one process? Did you take a meeting or give meetings with your agent and say, this is where we're going? What was the system that you used?
Well, I got to give you some credit. if I could.
Okay,
So,
I'll take it.
Okay, I think 3 years ago or something, you did a meeting and you said, hey, I let my agents know exactly what our numbers need to be every month. And I thought, well, yeah, my agents know that. Yeah, no, they don't. They don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
So it was about that time that I started to put on our sales board every single month and in our meetings what our numbers should be. And I'll be darned if they didn't start hitting them.
Vision versus perspective.
Yes.
So where you're going
Right.
versus where you're at. And that's what all pro leaders do. And you do that.
Well, you know, and that was kind of a game changer.
Yeah.
So you deserve at least part of the credit.
I will take that. I mean, my office should be bigger than yours, then I should be beating you, but I'm not. You are a powerhouse. I've always, you know, they say that energy wins. So,
Energy does win.
So you always have this every time I see you. And I mean, I've seen you when you've been upset about something or whatnot, but you shake it off really quick, and you always have this positive. Now, is that real? I mean,
real.
do you sometimes have to fake it?
No.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, hey guys, and a little tear rolls down my eyes.
Stop it. You can do that though.
But you really have this infectious energy. Where does that come from? That's my question.
I think I was always born with this. Like,
so that
my
was a
dad
natural.
has this, yeah, too.
Okay, so then I'm going to ask you a different question. I'm not as interested in natural things. I think it's incredible and integral. But what was a weakness in your leadership that you've continually worked on? Something that you said, okay, I want to get better here.
So I will tell you that the one thing that I had to eliminate entirely was any kind of fear. I have to be 100% in all the time with what I'm trying to accomplish, and I get off guard and I lose focus when I'm not completely clear about where I'm going.
So clarity, systems that work, you keep adding those in, but fear is when it creeps in, it freezes you a little bit type of thing?
So, but I've gotten really, really, really good at noticing that when that's starting to creep in, I just got to think about something I love, and it changes for me.
That's great. How many agents do you have in your office?
Right this second, I think we have 332 agents.
And the top producer is the famous Tim Smith.
He is famous all by himself. He would be famous with or without me, but I love working with him.
So what's his volume? Is it 450 million per year?
I'm going to say this year, it's going to be somewhere close to that, right, Tim?
Okay, well that's a big number. What's number 2 and number 3? How close are they?
200 million. We've got.
So you've got a $450 million year in, year out producer.
Right.
Then you've got a couple $200 million.
Close to 200 million.
Yeah.
I've got several people over 100.
So that's going to lead us into part 2. I'm going to give you a hug because there's going to be a whole episode here. I just wanted to touch.
That was so fast.
Right?
Okay.
I know. I want long form. I want hours and hours of interviews. I'm not famous enough to do long form. Yeah, we do short form. But I got out of it that you overcome fear. You figured out what your enemy was and you fight it. That you figured out that energy does win, and you always bring incredible joy and smiles and love and just power into everything. And you had a clear vision that you measure.
Yeah.
And you were also motivated by a challenge.
That's it. Why don't you just write that down?
So those are great lessons. So give me a hug. This is part 1. Here goes Debbie. Bye, Debbie. Bye, Debbie. Debbie Lewandowski.